The sky above Colony Vega burned like a dying sun. Flames rose higher than the tallest towers, black smoke covering the stars that once gave the settlers hope. Ships of the enemy hovered in silence, cold and merciless, watching their fire finish the job. Children cried in the streets. Families ran with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Some prayed, others screamed, but no one could stop what was coming. The aliens had judged humanity, and their judgment was death. The invaders were called the Zirith, a race older, richer, and stronger than mankind. Their fleets stretched across the stars like an endless storm. When humans first met them, there was a chance of peace. But the moment the Zirith saw human ambition, the hunger to expand, to build, to rise, they decided mankind was dangerous. And danger, to them, had only one solution: fire. Colony by colony, the Zirith burned humanity's future. Vega, Centauri, Orion Gate, worlds that had taken centuries to shape were turned into ashes in a single day. For the Zirith, it was not war. It was punishment. It was a lesson. They believed if they broke the outer colonies, Earth would kneel. But they did not understand humans. On Earth, news of the colony's destruction spread like poison. Broadcasts showed silent cities, burning skies, shattered fleets. Some wept, some raged, and some vowed that the fight was not over. In a secret chamber beneath Geneva, the last leaders of humanity gathered. Generals, admirals, scientists, and survivors sat around a table. Their faces carried the same shadow, the shadow of loss. But in their eyes burned something far more dangerous than fear: determination. "The Zirith think this is the end," Admiral Rain said, his voice heavy but steady. "They think we are broken, but humanity has never been broken. We endure, we fight, and when pushed to the edge, we strike back." The survivors around him nodded. Above them, in orbit, Earth's defense fleet waited in silence. The ships were old compared to the Zirith armadas. Some were patched with scars from earlier battles. But they were still standing, and humans had learned. Every attack, every loss, every mistake, they had studied it all. On the edge of the solar system, hidden stations worked day and night. Engineers and scientists pushed themselves past human limits. They built something new, something the Zirith had never seen. The weapon was not ready yet, but Earth was betting everything on it. Meanwhile, the colonies that survived were scattered, broken pieces of a shattered dream. Refugees poured toward Earth, their ships overcrowded, their voices filled with grief. And yet, even in despair, there was fire. A mother told her child stories of Earth's victories in the ancient past. An old miner sharpened his tools and said, "If I can't mine, I'll fight." A pilot who lost his family whispered into the void, "You will pay." The Zirith believed humanity's spirit was crushed. But each burned colony was not a grave. It was a spark. On Vega, as the flames consumed the last human outpost, a single transmission escaped before the signal was cut. It was not a plea for help. It was not a cry of surrender. It was a single sentence: "Earth remembers." The Zirith commander laughed when he heard it. "Let them remember," he said to his crew. "Memory cannot win a war." He was wrong. Far from Vega, in the dark side of Earth's moon, secret hangars opened their steel doors. Inside waited shapes covered in shadows, machines larger than anything humanity had ever built before. Their cores hummed with energy unknown to the Zirith. They were still unfinished, but when the time came, they would be unleashed. The judgment was not the end. It was the beginning. As stars burned with silent witnesses, humanity stood at a crossroad. The colonies were gone. The enemy believed them broken, and Earth stood alone against an empire. But in the heart of mankind, something dangerous had awakened. Not fear, not surrender, but resolve. And the Zirith would soon learn the most terrible truth of all: humanity was not prey. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was patient. The judgment had been passed. Now humanity would give their answer. Earth did not sleep. While the stars above carried the scars of lost colonies, the planet below turned its grief into steel. Cities that once built homes now built weapons. Factories that once made cars and harvesters now forged armor and engines of war. Every hand that could work was given purpose. It began quietly. The Zirith had left Earth untouched, believing fear would chain humanity to silence. They thought humans would bow, would surrender, would become obedient. Instead, humans became shadows. In the deserts of Nevada, hidden deep under the sand, engineers worked without rest. They pieced together fragments of alien wreckage, studying the Zirith's technology. Each burned ship that fell to Earth became a treasure. Every scrap of alloy, every shard of crystal, every circuit was taken apart, examined, and rebuilt in human hands. On the oceans, submarines carried secret cargo between continents, moving materials where satellites could not see. In the frozen wastes of Antarctica, whole cities were built beneath the ice, their lights hidden from the sky. There, the greatest human minds gathered, designing weapons not of survival but of vengeance. The people did not forget the burning of Vega, Centauri, Orion Gate. They did not forget the screams, the flames, the silence left behind. Earth Remembers was not just a signal anymore. It became a vow, whispered in every dark corridor where humans prepared for war. Admiral Raines stood in the command center beneath Geneva, his tired eyes watching the screens filled with data. Supply reports, construction progress, fleet numbers. It was not enough, not yet. Against the Zirith Empire, every weapon, every ship looked small. But humanity had something the Zirith could never measure: the will to rise again. Beside him, Dr. Celine Arvad, the chief scientist of the Lunar Project, placed a data chip on the table. Her voice was calm, but her eyes glowed with fire. "The weapon is growing," she said. "Its power will change the balance. But it needs time. We cannot rush it." "How much time?" Raines asked. "Months," she answered. "Maybe a year." Raines looked at the stars on the screen, each one marking a fallen colony. His jaw tightened. "Then we will give you that time, no matter the cost." Across Earth, small fleets began to move. Not in open battle, but in silence. Human ships avoided direct war. Instead, they struck from the shadows, supply lines, relay stations, patrols on the edge of Zirith space. They were not battles of victory, but battles of delay. Every day stolen from the enemy was another day for Earth to rebuild. The Zirith noticed. Reports reached their high council. Human ships, small but dangerous, were appearing where they should not. A mining station destroyed. A convoy vanished. A patrol ship never returned. "This is not possible," one Zirith lord said. "They are broken. They are defeated." But another replied, "Then why do their ships still strike? Why do their flames still burn?" Doubt began to whisper through the empire. Meanwhile, on Earth, every family carried the burden. Children worked in underground farms to feed the hidden cities. Soldiers trained day and night, preparing for battles they knew might never end. Pilots sharpened their reflexes in simulators that never shut down. Every human heart carried the same fire: we will not fall. In the refugee camps, survivors shared their pain, but also their strength. A boy from Orion Gate taught others how to fix engines. A woman from Vega turned her grief into songs that gave courage to tired workers. Even broken lives became weapons in the silent rebuild. But there were sacrifices. To keep the secret, Earth cut itself off from many stars. Messages went silent. Colonies that begged for help received no answer, not because Earth forgot them, but because saving them would reveal too much too soon. Humanity carried the guilt in silence, but still they endured. In the dark side of the moon, the project grew. The machines hidden there were no longer just ships. They were something more, built with human creativity and alien knowledge stolen from wreckage. Their design was brutal and elegant, fast and merciless. Some whispered that they were humanity's judgment given form. Dr. Arvad walked through the hangar, her steps echoing under the shadow of the massive vessel. She placed her hand on the cold metal, whispering to herself, "You will carry our fury. You will carry our hope." The silent rebuild was not just about weapons. It was about unity. Nations that once argued over borders now shared secrets. Soldiers who once fought under different flags now wore the same emblem. Earth. Humanity, for the first time in its history, stood together. The Zirith thought their fire would divide mankind. Instead, it forged them into steel. One night, above Earth's orbit, a small human ship returned from a secret raid. Its hull was damaged, engines barely alive. As it docked, the captain stepped out, blood on his uniform, but victory in his eyes. "They didn't see us coming," he said with a tired smile. "They never do." Every whisper, every hidden act, every strike in the dark was building toward something greater. The galaxy believed humanity was silent. But in truth, humanity was rebuilding. Quietly, patiently, relentlessly. The silent rebuild was the calm before the storm. And when the storm came, the Zirith would understand that fire cannot break mankind. It only teaches them how to burn brighter. The stars above were quiet, but silence never lasted long in war. On the far edge of Zirith-controlled space, a convoy of alien supply ships drifted across the void. Their holds were full of fuel, weapons, and soldiers. To the Zirith, it was routine, another movement of resources to feed their endless empire. No escort was needed, they believed, because no enemy dared strike them here. Humanity was finished, or so they thought. From the black shadows of an asteroid field, human ships waited in silence. Engines cold, weapons armed, hearts beating fast. Their hulls were painted to match the darkness, hidden from scanners. Inside the lead vessel, Captain Elias Ward stood at the command deck, his eyes sharp, his voice steady. He was not a man of speeches, but every soldier aboard could feel the weight of his silence. "Remember Vega, remember Orion, remember Earth," he finally said. "This is not just a mission, this is our first answer." The order was given. Engines roared to life. From the dark, the human fleet struck like wolves. Missiles cut through the silence. Plasma fire lit up the stars. The first Zirith supply ship exploded before it even knew it was under attack. Another was torn open, its cargo spilling into the void like blood. The Zirith panicked. For the first time, their voices carried fear. Humans here? Impossible! But it was no illusion. Humanity had returned to the stars, not as prey, but as hunters. The battle was quick and brutal. Human ships were smaller, weaker, but faster and smarter. Pilots used asteroid cover, darting in and out like shadows. Soldiers aboard boarding pods cut into alien hulls, their rifles blazing. Each second felt like vengeance. Within minutes, the convoy was destroyed. Wreckage floated across space, fires burning in the cold dark. Only one Zirith ship survived, limping away, its comms screaming into the void. Ward did not stop it. He wanted it to run. He wanted the message to spread. "Let them know," he said, watching the last ship vanish into hyperspace. "Let them know humanity is not finished." The first strike spread across the galaxy like lightning. The Zirith Empire was shaken. Reports arrived at their High Council. Supply lines cut, outposts destroyed, fleets harassed by shadows they could not catch. "How?" one Zirith lord demanded. "We burned their colonies. We left them with nothing." Another replied in fear, "Perhaps nothing is what made them dangerous." The council dismissed the thought. To admit fear of humans was unthinkable. But in the silence of their chambers, doubt began to grow. Back on Earth, when news of the first strike reached the underground networks, the world erupted with energy. Workers cheered in factories. Soldiers raised their fists. Refugees wept with pride. "Humanity fights back," they whispered. "We are not broken." In the hidden hangars of the moon, Dr. Arvad smiled for the first time in months. The first strike had bought them time. Every day the Zirith wasted hunting shadows was another day her weapon grew closer to completion. Admiral Rains stood before the War Council. Maps of space glowed before him, red with Zirith control, blue with human activity. The blue was small, but it was spreading. "This is only the beginning," he said. "Small strikes, small wounds. But enough wounds can bleed even the largest beast." The council agreed. Humanity would not face the Empire head-on. Not yet. Guerrilla war was the key. Silent raids. Precision strikes. Every attack meant delay. Every delay meant progress. But in the darkness of space, victory came with cost. Captain Ward's ship limped home with heavy scars. Half his crew did not return. In the medical bay, soldiers lay broken, some silent forever. War was not glory, it was survival paid in blood. And yet, even in their pain, no one regretted the strike. One dying soldier whispered to Ward, "Sir, we showed them. We showed them we're still here." Ward gripped his hand. "Rest easy. The fight has only begun." Weeks passed. Human fleets struck again and again. A relay station in the Carven Belt destroyed. A mining hub in Yorin system raided. A Zereth patrol squadron ambushed and burned. Each strike was small, but together they cut deep. The Zereth began to send more ships to guard their supply lines. Armadas that once conquered entire colonies were now forced to chase scattered human fleets. The Empire was bleeding time, but every move in war carried risk. The more humans struck, the closer the Zereth came to discovering the truth. The silent rebuild, the secret weapons under construction, the unity Earth was forging. Humanity played a dangerous game. One mistake, one captured ship, one broken code could expose everything. And yet they continued, because this was more than war. This was vengeance. On the edge of Zereth space, the wreckage of a convoy drifted, still burning. A single human transmission echoed across the stars before vanishing into silence. "We are coming." The Zereth heard it. The galaxy heard it. And for the first time, the empire that thought itself eternal felt the weight of fear. The first strike was not the end. It was the spark. And soon the fire would spread. The first strikes had bought humanity something priceless: time. While the Zereth Empire scrambled fleets to chase shadows, Earth worked in silence. In the frozen tunnels beneath Antarctica, in the steel hangars buried under the moon, and in hidden stations orbiting the outer planets, humanity's greatest gamble was being built. It was not just a ship. It was not just a weapon. It was a symbol. They called it Project Aegis. The Zereth Empire had always mocked humanity for being weak, for building fragile fleets, for relying on numbers they could never match. But Aegis was different. It was forged from human ingenuity and Zereth technology stolen from wreckage. It was not the biggest ship in the galaxy, but it was the deadliest thing humanity had ever created. Its armor was layered with metals stronger than anything mined on Earth. Its engines could outpace most Zereth cruisers. And at its heart, it carried something no alien empire could prepare for. A weapon that bent the rules of war itself. Dr. Celine Arvad stood inside the vast lunar hangar, her eyes locked on the machine towering above her. The Aegis glowed faintly with blue light, its core alive with the energy of stolen alien reactors reshaped by human hands. She whispered to herself, "They thought they could end us with fire. Now we will answer with thunder." The first test came in silence. Far beyond Mars, hidden in an asteroid field, the Aegis was awakened. Its engines burned white, pushing the colossal ship forward. For the crew aboard, it was like riding inside a storm barely contained. "Power level stable," said Commander Hale, the ship's first captain. "Weapon systems charged. All systems green." Admiral Raines watched the data from Earth. His voice was steady, but his heart carried weight. This was humanity's only chance. If the Aegis failed, there would be no second. The target was a captured Zereth warship, towed into position like a lamb for slaughter. Its hull was thick, its weapons still armed but disabled. It was a predator stripped of teeth but still dangerous. "Fire!" Hale ordered. The Aegis roared. A beam of energy, pure and blinding, erupted from its core. It was not plasma, not missile, not laser. It was something new, something human. The beam struck the alien ship, and in a single breath, the mighty Zereth warship was gone. No explosion, no wreckage, just dust drifting into the void. The crew stood in silence. Even Hale could not hide his awe. On Earth, Raines let out a slow breath. "It works," he whispered. "By God, it works." Humanity had built a weapon that could not just fight the Zereth but erase them. The news of Project Aegis was kept hidden from the galaxy. Only the highest commanders, the builders, and the crew knew the truth. To the rest of humanity, whispers spread of a ghost ship, a weapon born of vengeance. Hope grew stronger with each rumor. But the Zirith were not blind. They felt the shift. Their fleets began to fall not from numbers but from precision. Convoys destroyed, patrols annihilated, outposts silenced. All in ways no ordinary human fleet could achieve. The Zirith High Council gathered in fury. Impossible, one lord spat. No human weapon has this power. Then it is not human, another replied. They are using our own technology against us. The council fell into silence. For the first time, they realized the danger of underestimating mankind. Fire had not broken them, it had forged them. The first true test of the Aegis came without warning. A Zirith fleet, 20 ships strong, descended on the Carven Belt to crush what they believed was a hidden human outpost. But waiting for them in the shadows was the Aegis. Commander Hale's voice was calm. We face 20 against 1. They think the odds are theirs. Let's show them whose odds truly matter. The Zirith fleet advanced, confident, arrogant. Their weapons lit the void with fire. The Aegis moved. It danced between the storms, faster than they expected. Its armor absorbed blows that would have shattered human ships. And then its core burned again. The first beam cut through a Zirith destroyer, slicing it in half. The second erased a cruiser in a flash of light. Panic spread among the aliens. It cannot be. This ship, it should not exist. But it did. And it was only the beginning. One by one, the Zirith fell. Not slowly, not evenly, but like prey before a predator. The battle that should have lasted hours ended in minutes. When the light faded, only wreckage remained. The Aegis stood alone, untouched. Humanity had shown its hand. Back on Earth, when word of the battle reached the underground networks, the world roared with pride. Refugees cried. Workers shouted. Soldiers saluted the sky. Humanity had a weapon. Humanity had hope. But Admiral Rains knew better than to celebrate too soon. He stood before the council, his voice grim. They will come for us now. The Zirith will not ignore this. They will throw everything they have at us. Dr. Arvad added. And the Aegis cannot fight forever. We must build more. We must be ready. The silent rebuild was no longer silent. The Empire had seen the storm rising. In the quiet of his quarters, Commander Hale recorded a message for his crew. His face was tired, but his voice carried steel. They thought we were broken. They thought Earth would kneel. But today we proved them wrong. The Aegis is not just a ship. It is our promise. A promise that for every world they burned, we will burn 10 of theirs. For every life they took, we will take back 100. This is not the end of our fight. This is only the beginning. The Zirith had awakened something they could not control. Humanity now had its weapon. And the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy was no longer quiet. Where once the Zirith ruled with fear, now whispers of rebellion spread across the stars. Stories of the Aegis reached even the most distant colonies, some true, some exaggerated. To the enslaved and broken, humanity became a symbol of resistance. To the Zirith Empire, humanity became a nightmare. Every strike by the Aegis was like thunder across the void. Supply lines collapsed. Outposts went silent. Fleets that once moved with arrogance now traveled in fear. For the first time in centuries, the Zirith were on the defensive. On Earth, Admiral Rains studied the new maps. Red zones of Zirith control were shrinking. Blue zones of human strikes were spreading. For the first time since the burning of Vega, hope looked larger than despair. Dr. Arvad entered the chamber, carrying fresh reports. Her eyes were tired but fierce. The second and third Aegis-class ships are near completion, she said. Soon, we will not be fighting with one ghost, but with 3. Rains nodded. And with 3 we will not just survive. We will reclaim. The first step was liberation. The colonies burned by the Zirith were gone, but many human worlds still lived under their occupation. Cities forced to serve alien masters, survivors chained to labor for an empire that showed no mercy. The Aegis struck first at Orion's reach. The Zirith had turned its once shining towers into fortresses. Human flags had been burned, replaced with banners of the empire. Soldiers patrolled every street. The people had lost hope until the shadows above parted. The Aegis descended like a star falling from heaven. Its cannons roared, cutting through the fortress walls. Human troops poured in behind it, soldiers and survivors fighting side by side. The battle was brutal but swift. By the time the smoke cleared, the Zirith garrison was gone. The banners of Earth rose again, higher than before. When the message was broadcast to the galaxy, "Orion is free," a fire lit across every human heart. The fall of the invaders had begun. The Zirith Council panicked. Their empire was too large, too spread. For centuries, fear had kept their subjects in line. But now fear was broken. Humanity had shattered it. Reports came daily. Rebellions sparking in mining colonies, supply fleets destroyed, human warships growing bolder. The empire was bleeding from 1,000 cuts. "They cannot win," one Zirith lord hissed. "They are too few," another whispered back. "And yet, they are everywhere." The council ordered more fleets, more soldiers, more fire. But the more they tightened their grip, the more the galaxy slipped away. On the battlefield, humanity's strength grew. The second Aegis, named Valiant, launched into the stars, its silver hull gleaming like a blade. Then came the third, Resolve. Together with the original Aegis, they became the trident of Earth's fury. With each battle, the Zirith learned fear. With each victory, humanity learned confidence. Soldiers who once fought only for survival now fought for vengeance, and for the dream of rebuilding what was lost. But victory was never free. In the liberation of Vega's ruins, thousands of human soldiers fell. In the Battle of Yorin Station, the Resolve took heavy damage, its hull torn apart, hundreds lost to the void. Humanity bled, just as the Zirith did. And yet, every loss only sharpened their resolve. Admiral Rains stood before his commanders after a costly victory. His voice carried across the chamber. "Do not weep for the fallen. They did not die in despair. They died knowing that humanity rises again. And we will honor them, not with tears, but with fire." As months passed, the empire that once thought itself unshakable began to crack. Rebellions spread faster. Slave races long crushed by the Zirith saw the humans and rose up too. The galaxy itself seemed to turn against its masters. The invaders had become the invaded. But even as victory spread, Rains knew the war was not over. The Zirith still had power. Their capital world still burned like a black sun, the heart of their empire untouched. As long as it stood, humanity was not safe. He turned to his commanders, his eyes cold but burning with purpose. "We have shown the galaxy that we can fight. We have shown the Zirith that we cannot be broken. But now we must show them something greater. We must show them that their empire itself will fall." The council fell silent, knowing what he meant. The final blow, the end of the invaders. Project Aegis had given humanity strength. The fall of the invaders had given humanity hope. Now only one step remained. The empire must die. On the edge of Zirith space, the Aegis fleet gathered. Ships scarred from battle, crews hardened by war, weapons burning with vengeance. In the silence before the storm, Commander Hale sent a message across all channels, to every human, to every ally, to every ear that would listen. They thought burning colonies would break us. Instead, it forged us. Instead, it united us. Instead, it made us strong. And now, we will end them. The stars above the Zirith homeworld glowed red, as if the galaxy itself sensed what was coming. For centuries, the Zirith had ruled as gods, untouchable, unquestioned, unchallenged. Their fleets stretched across the void. Their cities burned with stolen wealth, and their banners cast shadows over 100 races. They believed their empire eternal. But tonight, the shadow was breaking. At the edge of the system, the human fleet arrived. Ships scarred by war, crews hardened by fire, And at the heart of it all, the three Aegis-class warships, Aegis, Valiant, and Resolve, burning like stars of judgment. On the bridge of the Aegis, Commander Hale looked at the planet that had once ordered humanity's destruction. His voice was calm, but every word was a blade. This is for Vega. This is for Orion. This is for every world they burned. Today, their empire dies. The Zereth fleet moved to defend their world. Hundreds of ships filled the void, black and silver like a storm of blades. Their weapons burned bright. Their voices carried rage. Humans dare challenge us here? At our heart? Then here they will be erased. But humanity was no longer the hunted. The battle began. The void lit with fire. Missiles streaked like falling stars. Beams of plasma cut across the dark. Alien and human ships collided in chaos. The Aegis fleet struck first, their cores burning with impossible power. One blast tore through 3 Zereth cruisers in a single stroke. Another ripped apart a battleship that once conquered Orion. The Valiant and Resolve fought beside it, their weapons turning the black sky into fire. But the Zereth were many. Waves of fighters crashed against the humans. Aegis shields flickered. Human destroyers exploded under heavy fire. The void became a graveyard of steel. Inside the Aegis, alarms screamed. Shields failing. We've lost the port batteries. Casualties on decks 4 through 6. Still, Hale stood firm. His voice cut through the chaos. We did not come this far to fall here. Hold the line. Push forward. The fleet obeyed. Above the planet, the Zereth High Council watched from their palace towers. Their faces were twisted with fury and fear. They cannot win, one cried. They are insects, shouted another. But beneath their words, doubt spread. For the first time in their history, the Zereth realized their empire was not infinite. It was mortal, and humanity had come to kill it. The battle raged for hours. Human fleets pushed closer and closer to the planet. Every kilometer was bought with blood. Ships fell. Names were lost. But the line never broke. At last, the Aegis fleet reached orbit. The capital city of the Zereth glowed below, towers stretching like claws into the sky. Commander Hale gave the final order. Target their palace. End this. The Aegis Corps roared one last time. A beam brighter than the sun cut through the clouds, striking the heart of the empire. The Zereth capital exploded in fire and ash, towers crumbling, banners burning. The sound of their rule ended in silence. Across the galaxy, the message spread. The Zereth are fallen. Slaves rose against their masters. Colonies once silenced screamed in freedom. The empire that had ruled for centuries was gone in a single night. On Earth, when the news arrived, the planet erupted. Bells rang in cities. Refugees embraced. Soldiers wept with pride. Humanity, once broken, now stood as the empire's destroyer. In the War Council chamber, Admiral Raines gave the final words. His voice carried not just to Earth, but across the stars, broadcast to every ally, every survivor, every ear that would listen. They thought burning colonies would break us. They thought fire could end humanity. But fire did not end us, it forged us. And today, we have shown the galaxy that no empire, no tyrant, no shadow can stand against the will of mankind. The Zereth are gone. Humanity is free. And we will never kneel again. In the silence after war, the stars shone brighter. The graves of the fallen drifted across the void. But their sacrifice was not in vain. The colonies would rise again. The cities would be rebuilt. Children would grow under skies free of fear. Humanity had not just survived. Humanity had destroyed an empire. And as the galaxy watched, one truth burned brighter than all others. Earth remembers. Earth endures. Earth prevails.